Hi, my name is Alex. I was diagnosed in 2019. I've had MS for about 5.5 years. And when I was first diagnosed, I watched a lot of YouTube videos to sort of see what other people were doing and how they were coping. So I hope if you have been newly diagnosed or diagnosed previously that you watch this and maybe get a bit of comfort from it. I started with symptoms that I think I was largely ignoring. So I started off with mobility issues, where I couldn't walk for a particular length, which decreased as time went on. I stopped being able to go any distance at all until I ended up on crutches. And I would have numbness and tingling in my feet. My feet went completely numb, and the tingling and numbness went all up my legs, into my hands, and to the side of my face. I had memory issues, which I'd had for a few years previously. My eyes were not, there was no pain in my eyes. However, they didn't accommodate at the same time. So I would have blurred vision all the time because I'd have a sort of Marilyn Manson effect, which would be one pupil would contract down and the other one would stay sort of fully awake. And so I was constantly in a blurred state anyway. And then I had nystagmus as well, which is the shaking of your pupils. Anything else? Yeah, and I think everything from sort of top to toe did not feel right. I had chronic sort of back ache, and I think that was because I couldn't hold my body up straight whilst I was walking or whilst I was standing even. So I would constantly just sort of lean further and further forward, yeah, and that was to do with obviously my nerves not sort of cooperating. So it was undiagnosed MS. And eventually I was hospitalised. I had an MRI, which the doctors, I think, surmised it was MS, but they needed to discount it through lumbar punctures and things like that. They needed to make sure it definitely was MS. So I was hospitalised in July of 2019 for about 3 weeks whilst my body sort of came back to normal, so the relapse would calm down somewhat. So they gave me steroid injections. I think I had quite high dose prednisolone for daily for the 3 weeks or so that I was in hospital, and then it would tail off as by the week as I was sort of at home and improving. And then after that, I was just sort of left with the damage that MS had caused. So my mobility has never really improved. It's just stabilised, it's not worsened. I was then put on Tysabri for about 2 years, which was wonderful. I loved it. I had no reactions or side effects to it. I just went in every month or so and just plugged myself in, and well, they plugged me in to infusion, and then I would nap and then and then go home, and then that went on for about 2 years until my JC titer, the levels went from 0 to quite high, so they couldn't continue giving me Tysabri, so I had to change over to another high efficacy disease modifying therapy, which would be omeprazole, I nearly said Ocrevus. So the ocrelizumab that they gave me was a 6-month infusion, which operates in a slightly different way, but it was still an infusion, and I still coped with it fantastically. It was very sit there, sleep, unplug, go home, and then aside from feeling a little bit tired for a day or two afterwards, no symptoms whatsoever, no side effects. The downside to that being that I would have sort of MRIs periodically to just check how I was doing, and they noticed that I was increasingly having lesions even whilst on the ocrelizumab. So they decided that I needed a more basically a more effective DMT, which the only things left to me would be Lemtrada or the stem cell transplant, which I was gunning for. I desperately wanted this because of the possibility that hopefully it can undo damage as well as stopping the lesions from happening. It can possibly, they've noticed that in the majority of cases that their EDS scores tend to go down and they tend to improve overall. And my EDSS score was 6. At the moment it is 6. Hopefully once I've had the stem cell transplant, we will see where we stand. But for the moment, that is where I'm at. And after 5.5 years, I think I'm managing it quite well. And I hope that people who are just diagnosed with it, newly diagnosed, are not too scared or too sort of traumatized by experiences of people historically who have been diagnosed with MS. So countless people will tell you that their relative died horribly of MS, possibly back in the 70s, when they didn't have treatments, they didn't have disease-modifying therapies, which 9 times out of 10 will hopefully help whomever is being prescribed them. And if, like me, you have relapsing remitting, which is what the majority of people start out with being diagnosed with, hopefully you can find something which will help you. And even if you have primary progressive MS or secondary progressive MS, things like ocrelizumab, I think, is a particularly effective DTM that might help. So all is not, it's not the end of the world. I think there are things that you can do holistically yourself, your diet, exercise, things like yoga or meditation, things like that, all help your body overall generally. I myself have become a vegan. I have tried to do daily exercise and care for myself as much as I can outside of obeying the doctor's orders and taking the therapies that they tell me to take. So yes, don't feel helpless, don't feel alone, and things like the MS Society, all different manners of groups and communities are very, very supportive, that can help you and sort of guide you through. So hopefully I will be making more videos to chart my HSCT progression, having been referred, I think, in March, possibly April, of 2024, and hopefully being scheduled in June 25, and I can give more of a sort of lay down of that as it happens. But for the meantime, I hope this has been helpful. Okay, thank you.